Our top focus this evening. A VVIP who happened to be Karnataka Governor Thawarchand Gehlot missed his Bengaluru Hyderabad flight on Friday. He apparently reached the airport late and the flight had taken off by then. The airline, which happens to be AirAsia, buckled under pressure after the Raj Bhavan filed a complaint and alleged lapses on part of the airline staff. And now an AirAsia staff, the station manager who was working at the time, has been made a scapegoat. Airline sources confirm the staff has been removed from duty pending inquiry, but the action does not stop there. Sources have told Times of India that two more staffers are expected to face the axe, and the airline will personally apprise the governor or his office of the action taken. Mirror now took this issue to Karnataka Deputy CM D.K. Shivkumar. While the Congress leader wished to not comment on the controversy, he said law should take its own course. Listen in.
So the airport officials who did not wait for the governor has been suspended.
Why I should act on that, comment on that issue? It is left to the governor, it is left to the airport, and it is left to the law of this country. I don't want to comment on it.
Neha, my colleague, joins me live on the broadcast on this top story. Neha, good evening. As we speak about this incident, what is the airline's version? But the bigger question over here is, was the airline too quick to take action? Because at the end of the day, we've seen numerous instances of VVIP culture as well.
Well, Nivedhana, of course, that's a very pertinent question you've raised there. We've heard from the airline, while initially, of course, there was no action that was initiated over here, and it was, in fact, being defended by the airline. Later, we're seeing that, they went on to express regret and also have, in fact, taken stringent action against one of the, crew members over there, the ground staff. In fact, the airport manager of AirAsia has currently been de-rostered pending a full inquiry. But it's really quite unfortunate, time and again, as we raise this question about the VIP culture, what, of course, remains unanswered at this point in time is whether the governor of Karnataka, Thawarchand Gehlot, was genuinely late for the flight, or is it that the airline, in fact, over here on its part, had a lapse? Well, that's something, of course, that is being inquired at the moment, Nivedhana, and hopefully, the truth comes out. But it is, again, evidently right now on the airline to be able to justify why the staffer was, in fact, suspended over here pending inquiry. And like you were suggesting, possibly action coming in against more people as well. Well, that is something also. Meanwhile, we're also seeing the governor's office, in fact, having raised a formal complaint with the Civil Aviation Ministry, is what we're given to understand as per sources.
Right, Neha. Thank you very much for drawing things into perspectives for our viewers as well as far as this top story is concerned. But we leave it at that. But we continue this conversation by getting the viewpoint of our viewers as well. In fact, I'm understanding that I have Anil Sood joining us from Delhi on the broadcast. Anil, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective.
I think these VVIPs have become a liability on all of us. They must learn to behave properly, particularly when they are moving in public transport or they are moving anywhere. They must not enjoy these perks. They are enjoying at the cost and risk of the passengers. They must be brought to the taught. They must be taught discipline at least, so that ordinary citizens do not suffer because of their arrogance and so-called busy schedule. They are nothing but a liability on all of us. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Sood. I appreciate you taking the time out and speaking to us. Let me also get in a quick word from JC Moriani calling us from Ooty. Please go ahead and share with us your perspective as well.
Yes, I strongly believe that the Indian government should have fairness. If they care for the common man, let not... Yeah, good evening.
Moriani, I would appreciate if you could mute the TV in your background and go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Yes. 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute. I'm just mute karta hu. And I just wanted to say, Shall I continue? See?
Yes, please go ahead.
I just want to say that absolutely the government is to take care of the citizens, and this over expenditure, spending money on VVIPs, this is not fair. See, you are taking care of citizens, or are you just joining politics to mint money and pocket all the money which citizens are paying taxation for you? What is happening? Is there nobody to inform ministers? Everybody, they are just, they are filling their pockets at the cost of a common man. So I strongly suggest that whether you are a VIP or a common man, you should follow the rules, the protocol, and everybody should be given the same thing. If a minister has missed his flight, that is his problem. I mean, like a common man, if I miss my flight, they are not going to give me an additional aircraft immediately. So I would like to say that the whole government of India should not show partiality to politicians and to the common man. Let them take care of all I have to say.
Right, Mr. Burjani, appreciate you taking the time out and speaking to us as well. I understand Fernandez from Bombay has also called us. Fernandez, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your thoughts over the same.
Yeah, see, punctuality is punctuality. We common men want to reach our place on time, whether it is for a funeral or for business. And we will not get an alternate plane to reach. Now, the governor got a flight in 15, another plane in 15 minutes. And let's be punctual. Whether 2 minutes or 3 minutes, no, you have to take off. And AirAsia is a good airline. Their senior citizens are 73 and 69. And we stand by, and we are very angry at discourse Forest's removal. Thank you.
Right, Fernandez. Thank you very much for sharing with us your perspective as well. We'll, of course, continue to take more viewers' perspective. Do call us on the number that is flashing on your screen. But let's continue this conversation by being joined in by my guests, G.S. BAWA, former General Manager, Public Relations, Airport Authority of India, and Sarosh, Damania, Aviation Policy Expert. Good evening to the both of you. Thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on Mirror Now. G.S. BAWA, let me begin by asking you, what do you make of this situation?
First of all, I must appreciate you. You have brought in the word lapse. And where is the lapse, we really need to know. Because both the parties have given their own log of time. And we should respect both of them. And we really need to define where the lapses are. And another also very good word came during discussion is the land of the law. And aviation is the most governed entity so far as the operations are concerned. So we all know that laws are very clear, rules are very clear, entitlement and rights are very clear. And that's why we advise every passenger at the airport that you should be quick, you should be rightful, you must know your right. And if you miss the flight, be polite. Be polite, and then airlines will always find there something for you. And I tell you, missing the flight is not new in the airports, new in the aviation. That's the reason airlines book extra booking also. And if I come from the statistic and the data, roughly 3 to 5%, or say even sometimes 8 to 10% in some bad weather setup, people do miss the flight, and airline have consideration for the passenger who generally miss the flight. And one can miss the flight due to...
Mr. BAWA, I'd have to interject you there, as you do, of course, make those significant points in your opening comment. We do understand more viewers of ours want to share their perspective. I'll also take those points across to the both of you as well. Krishnan from Bengaluru has called us. Krishnan, good evening. Please go ahead and share with us your viewpoint over the same.
Good evening, ma'am. Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, madam? Yeah. My view is there is not be any VIP treatment as far as the airline is concerned. If the governor has come late and the official has done his duty properly, he should not be punished but rewarded. That is my view.
All right, Krishnan. We'll take that point across to Sarosh. Sarosh, that was actually going to be my next question to you. With the fact that we've seen so many numerous, rather instances that we know of where common man has suffered. Let's say from excruciating, flight delays to flyers' baggage being lost. No action if the aadmi suffers. The common man always runs from pillar to post, even in such an incident if it was supposed to happen. But look at the quick action taken in this just because it is the VVIP.
See, as far as being the governor's story and being the airline story, whoever the person is, irrespective of the designation or the status or being a minister or a governor or a common man, they are bound by the law and they should follow it. As far as all these VIPs or all these government dignitaries are concerned, they should set an example for the common man by following the law themselves and not take the law for granted. It is very clear if you see the boarding passes also issued by the flight. On the boarding pass itself also it is written that the boarding gates will be closed 25 minutes prior to departure. Thereafter, the passengers are supposed to check in at least 1 hour before the flight. So, of course, the governor in this instance, if there is a maybe 5-10 minutes also, if you take missing his time or whatever schedule they're claiming, he was not at the airport 1 hour before the flight. So he is completely wrong in this case. And of course, at this time when you are yourself wrong, you should not misuse your power, misuse your office power to take actions against some innocent airline manager. Of course, I believe in this case, airline manager is being made a scapegoat because he has only performed his duty. He has followed the law. He stood the station over there. He made sure he performed his work of the flight being departing on time. Without looking into the case or without taking into consideration XYZ, whoever, if he is the governor or any other person also, he has done his job. Now today, for following the rules and regulations, for doing his job, today he is being suspended. And DGC about taking action every day.
That's an aspect that, Sarosh, I will come back to you and Mr. BAWA upon just in a couple of minutes. We understand that more viewers of ours are calling in. Vicky from Delhi has called us. Vicky, good evening. Please go ahead and share with us your perspective, which I'm pretty sure Mr. BAWA and Sarosh would also want to listen to.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. You see, my answer is only twofold. If I was to miss a flight, will AirAsia actually suspend the duty officer or suspend the staff, their staff? If I complained, never. It'll never happen. It has never been done. No airlines has ever done that. Secondly, is the governor's office aware of what are the issues related to airlines closing their gates once the time for the flight departure takes away, is happening? Today in the Times of India, there is a complete detailed procedure of what happens when the flight is about to take off. I think the governor's office should be made to read that and then kind of actually go and act accordingly.
Right, Vicky. Appreciate you also sharing your perspective. Thank you very much. I do understand Satyanarayan from Hyderabad has called us. Good evening. Please go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Yeah, good evening, madam. As such, I'm surprised to see that the accountability is fixed on a staffer instead of by following the procedures, he has become a scapegoat. And I feel if governor is so particular about this journey, he should have taken a chartered plane instead of traveling by passenger flight. Secondly, there should be a system for VVIPs also to board. It should not be less than the 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Okay, 5-10 minutes grace period can be given. I think all airlines, including DGCA, should issue a procedure for VVIPs to board the plane so that the common man will never face this problem. And the accountability also cannot be fixed on the staffer who has taken a decision to take off the flight just 5 minutes before this. And I feel governor is at fault.
Right. Thank you very much. Right, Satyanarayan. Thank you very much for joining us. I do understand Radhakrishnan from Chennai has also called us. Radhakrishnan, good evening. Share with us your perspective.
Very good evening, madam. As an ex-employee of an airline, I feel absolutely sorry for the people who have been suspended just because of this. They have done their job. Governor has got all the facility to reach the airport in time. Despite that, he has reached late, and unfortunately, the staff on duty who have done their job have been axed. It's very, very bad. It is happening only in India. It should be stopped. The governor is also a passenger. He is also paying the same fare like any other passenger. If any other passenger misses the flight, he has to go back. And the passengers are finding it extremely difficult to reach the airport. Whereas the governor can reach the airport well in time because of all the traffic regulations.
Right, Radhakrishnan, I appreciate you also giving us your perspective over the same. Let me quickly take another caller, Sinha from Kolkata. Sinha, good evening. Go ahead.
I am having 3 points on the issue of the governor of the Karnataka. First, he should purchase his own flight to go anywhere he wishes. His high-handedness has grounded 3 of the airline staff. So, the President of India and the Prime Minister of India should take a call and call back the governor. This is the high-handedness of governor's power. Hello?
Right, Sinha. Yes, we got your perspective as well. Thank you very much. Now, let me take all those points across to Sarosh as well as Mr. BAWA. BAWA, coming back to you with all these voices, you know, there's one thing that is, of course, everybody's talking about the fact that the rules cannot be different for VVIPs and common man. In fact, Vicky, the caller from Delhi, went on to say that if it was a common man, of course, these rules wouldn't have been amended, or rather the action that has been faced. Do you think this action that has been taken was just a face saver for the airline?
You want me to answer? Right.
Yes,
I must
ahead.
mention that I-5972 flight was a scheduled flight. And scheduled flight, schedule should dominate. And it must leave on schedule. If the flight has maintained the schedule, we must honor and respect that. And as I mentioned that we are now coming with the policy of Ude Desh Ka Aam Aadmi. And then flights used to have a status of luxury mode of travel, but it is no more we say it is for the elite. It is for the common man. And once it is the common man rights perspective always dominate. And then, yes, the first citizen, Honorable Governor, is a very respected person. And where the lapse has come, has been lapse on the part of staff or lapse on the part of the airline staff, we need to look into. Many citizens have voiced their feeling, sentiment. They are right in their way that we must respect the common man who are sitting already, who have come in the time, and ones who has come in time, we must give preference to those. And if there are some lapses which has happened, and that is for that purpose only the flight staff has been suspended, and suspension is not a punishment, I believe, because truth will prevail. And I personally feel that no one should see it with any vindictiveness in their mind. So that's what we feel the justice shall prevail. So if the log is perfect and the flight has followed all the time, the flight is supposed to take off on time. And if everything has happened, but we have heard both sides. The governor's office said that they came in time. They were waiting in the launch for half an hour and they were waiting 10 minutes on the tarmac. We do not know who's the right, but then clock is the right. Clock is the right because flight is a scheduled flight. And we must watch the clock, and everything is recorded. And nowadays we cannot say anybody is able to watch because everything is being recorded. Everything is on the camera. And rather, I see that we should now use technology for facilitating the common man more friendly way. You see, for example, you are always in touch with your passenger. I know a recent case of one of the airlines when they found that one of their passengers were getting delayed and they were sure
Mr.
that he cannot reach
as you,
the
of course,
airport
give
on
us that
time.
important example, I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes to you and Sarosh. In fact, we would want to get Sarosh in, but Sarosh, just stay with me for a couple of minutes because we do understand that more viewers would want to share their perspective. Sandeep calling us from Delhi. Sandeep, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you. I think I'm just going through this entire thing and feeling a little appalled that a common staffer who's an employee of who's following orders is the one who's being sacked or harassed for somebody else's fault. I think every minister, governor, whoever it is, must understand they are there because of, the common man's taxpayers' money, and they're traveling on that money. They are the ones who should set the standards right, rather than, this high-handed behavior. The law is the same for every individual. The rules of any airline is the same for every individual. They are the ones who should be following and setting standards rather than behaving in this high-handed manner. I think there should be an apology from the governor's office for whoever the poor employee is who's been harassed for no rhyme or reason. So I think...
right, Sandeep. I appreciate you taking the time out and speaking to us. I do understand Vicky from Bombay is also calling us. Vicky, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to say that the governor's action is very, very disgusting, first of all. Secondly, the AirAsia management, at the same time, they buckled under pressure, which is very, very disappointing, instead of protecting their staff. The counter closes 45 minutes for check-in, and it's very clear 20 minutes the gate closes before. And I think so everyone knows whoever travels. Governor also gets the privilege of free movement on the road. He gets a VIP treatment to move faster on the common passenger. I don't see any reason whether it is 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Why can't the governor be 10 minutes earlier than the flight schedule? What's substance from doing that? And this is highly unfair and atrocious attitude of the governor.
Right, Vicky. Appreciate you also sharing with us your perspective. I understand Rekha from Hyderabad has called us. Rekha, go ahead and make your point.
This is highly objectionable, suspending an ordinary person who is a staff, who's earning his livelihood. And once, around 10 years back, my son got delayed by 2 minutes. And even the flight is there, he was delayed by 2 minutes to check in. For that purpose, he was not allowed to enter the plane. For that purpose, we have spent around 30,000 rupees to book another flight. And that was the punishment given by to us. But
right, Rekha. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Let me just quickly try and get in Sarosh over there before I go to our other caller. Sarosh, just talking about all these voices that came in, and a question that I had put forward to BAWA as well, which I would want you to answer. Is this just a face saver? Because everyone who's calling in is talking about how unfair it is for the management to have not supported the staff and actually taken action against him for just doing his duty.
Yeah, of course. As you see, the airline has just crumbled to government pressure, and this is a very wrong attitude or very wrong example what we are seeing nowadays face, that the airline is just merely apologizing, has issued a statement, suspended the staff pending inquiry. Day in, day out, this is a non-boarding of a passenger or a person missing the flight is a very common scenario. And at no point of time is the airport manager suspended. Now, just to save face or just to show that they are taking some swift action, they have suspended the airport manager. And of course, there will be inquiry conducted and so on. But suspension, I think, was uncalled for. And in this case, again, what we are seeing is government ministers, governors being given unnecessary preference where they are also liable to follow the same rules. There should not be special treatment given. At one point, we call for equality, that everybody should be treated equally and all. And today, what we are saying is complete favoritism or complete airlines coming into pressure. DGCA acting on a complaint as such swift speed is also coming into pressure. So this is nothing but all crumbling down to the governor just because governor suffered an inconvenience and he had to wait 50 minutes for the next flight to take the next flight back. So I believe that this was totally uncalled for, and such type of situation should not be repeated, and also should not scramble to pressures of the government and not support their employee. I believe AirAsia should have supported their employee and stood taken side, because they have AirAsia first took a stance that the minister was late later.
Sarosh, unfortunately, I have to interject you there again. But that is, of course, a valid point that I would want to come back to you and discuss further, and also get our viewers also talking on that aspect about how they have, of course, crumbled under pressure. Probably that's how one can see it. But I do understand we have Madhu Sharma from Hyderabad calling us. Madhu, good evening. Go ahead and share with BAWA and Sarosh as well as to what you think about this.
Yeah, I totally agree that people in position and VVIPs should be role models. They should set an example. And I'm so glad that general public is very against this VVIP culture, and they are supporting the staff member who has been sacked for no fault of his. So I'm very glad that this is happening, and there is so much of awareness in people. And nobody is forgiven, and nobody can get away. These lapses are not forgiven at all, and one must be accountable. Thank you.
Right, Madhu. Appreciate you also talking to us. I understand Captain Jagpal from Rohtak has called us. Captain Jagpal, very good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective.
If you are a non-man or you are doing your job efficiently and honestly, and you can say it for yourself, and others giving that time. And BJP should not fall into that.
Captain Jagpal, I'm afraid that there is a technical issue with your audio. So we'll probably get in another caller to talk to us. Dr. Divakar Goyal calling us from Delhi. Dr. Goyal, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Having spent in aviation 35 years, presently I had been Executive Director with the Airports Authority of India. Yeah, you see, I am a man from aviation. I had been Executive Director with the Airports Authority of India. And now you see that today incident is giving a very wrong message to the airlines also. Today, while a person is being suspended, what message we are trying to give? I think this is the right time the President of India should sack the governor. The BJP government should take the action. The governor post is not only for, their power and position. They are also public servants. And the people should have the message. It is, I request the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, that tell these governors who has made and President of India to take immediate action. And this governor should apologize to the airline person.
Right, Dr. Goyal, I appreciate you also sharing with us what you think of this situation. But let me also get in Rama Subramanian calling us from Tamil Nadu. Good evening. Go ahead.
Uncalled for. See, everyone knows that in India, it's only the VIPs are putting people to risk and also unnecessary delay everywhere, whether it is railway station or airport or on the roads, everywhere. See, they want some special treatment. Why should they give special treatment to VVIPs like this? See, governors can, in fact, the governor should have apologized to the AirAsia and to the country. If the BJP says that they are a different party than the other ruling parties which ruled India earlier, they should come up with a clear-cut guidance that there should be no preferential treatment to VIPs hereafter anywhere. I would appreciate Modi to do that. As a Prime Minister who sets an example to the world, why can't he set an example in India? It's high time we do it because they are really running amok, these VIP cultures. Please, I request the PM and the Government of India and Civil Aviation Minister in particular to act upon this immediately and restore the suspension given to the staff of the airport. Please. Thank you.
Right, Subramaniam. I appreciate you also joining us on the broadcast. I understand we have a caller from Puducherry, Ram Mohan. Good evening. Please go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Yeah, good evening. What I wanted to tell was that the ordinary person gets stuck in traffic and he has to go through all these adjustments in order to reach the airport. But there is no such thing for the governor. He has a very much a free passage from wherever he is till the airport. So what should be the reason for this delay? There should be absolutely no reason why the governor should be late for the flight. Least he can do is at least inform the airline that he would be delayed so that they would be aware of it. And I'm definitely sure that the airline will make some kind of an arrangement. This is not the way that, when you have all the access, you go late and then make an issue of it. This type of options should be more to the aadmi who is going through this grind in the traffic, because of which he could get delayed to the airport. But there is no such excuse for a governor to go through all these things. It's really a very bad trend set by
Right,
the
Ram Mohan.
governor with regard to this issue.
Right. We appreciate you also sharing with us your perspective. I understand we have another caller from Bengaluru, Srinivasan. Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening. The excuse given is that VVIPs are very busy, and that's why they need an extra gate or extra time. Now, the ordinary people who actually work on their day-to-day life, are they not busy for their daily bread and butter? And these people are special or what? Actually, they work less than the ordinary people. The ordinary people have to go through the grind every day for their bread and butter. So I can't understand why they special this one. Everybody has to come 2 hours before the flight. Why at least 1 hour before these people can come now? Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for sharing with us your perspective. I understand another caller from the same city is called us. Mayur, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Modi has already told that Lal Batti should no longer be used in this country. I think the governor office is actually, belittling the efforts by the central government in terms of, what they are trying to do. I think governor's office should actually, give an apology for, coming late, and they should immediately tell to restore all the staff, The staff should be taken back to the job. Why the, small people should be losing this job because of these VIPs. Thank you, ma'am.
Right, Mayur. Thank you very much for talking to us here on Mirror Now. All right, I understand we have another call. I'm just going to go back to our guest just in a bit. Mansa from Hyderabad has called us. Mansa, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Yeah. The head of the state or whatever.
Mansa, I'm actually afraid that there is a technical problem with your audio. We'll try getting that fixed, but we appreciate all of you for having called in and shared with us your perspective. But let me go back to Sarosh quickly about this point that everyone has been making as far as action that was taken against this staffer. Sarosh, since you are, of course, a civil aviation policy expert, in such a circumstance, he was, of course, doing his job. But what happens here legally? With the fact that, of course, in this case, AirAsia did take action against him. But going by protocol, how does this go forward in such circumstances, especially if there's a VVIP involved? If you could break that down for us.
See, basically, of course, any complaint which is received, the airline management is supposed to look into it and take action. Now, suspension is only in cases of grave misconduct or something that could hamper the investigation, or as such, a person is suspended pending inquiry. Now, I don't believe a situation being that a person missing the flight is a grave situation, because that is a common situation. So in this type of situations, we normally do not see any suspension, but of course, inquiries are conducted if the DGCA has directed. Now, in this case, also the governor's office has complained to the DGCA, and DGCA must have written to the airline. So airline is conducting an inquiry. But I still believe that the action which the airline has also taken in this case is the extreme step of suspension, which was uncalled for. But just because in this case there was a VIP, the governor being in place, that is why airline is also wanting to play safe, and they've also gone an extra mile just to show that they have taken immediate action or they have taken some major step in the process. But I don't believe that, of course, now the airline manager will be given a chance, will be heard before any decision is taken or inquiry is conducted. But in any event, this is the steps which are followed, but suspension is not a common thing which is followed in this type of cases.
Right, Sarosh. Appreciate you breaking that down for us. I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes. We do understand a lot of our viewers want to share their perspective, which, of course, I'll also get a word in from BAWA just in a few minutes. Sandesh Acharya calling us from Mysuru. Mr. Acharya, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective.
Yeah, see, the governor coming there and claiming, the information saying that he has been there in the lounge, he has been in the tarmac. then he had all the time to be available well in time at the gate. What was he doing on the other places? So now looking at this issue itself, I don't think the airline had any right to suspend an employee who has been doing his duty. There is an inquiry could also be conducted parallelly without keeping him on suspension, because there are cameras available everywhere and nothing can be done by the airline staff or tampered with, and the normal inquiry, a decent inquiry carried out by the airline would have sufficed. There was no requirement on an airline to prove something to the governor's office for VVIP treatment, which I don't think he ever deserves.
Right, and I think that's exactly what Sarosh was also trying to break that down into context for us. Let me quickly get another caller. Sunil calling us from Bengaluru. Sunil, good evening. Please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. My question is simple. Who are these VIPs? VIPs what? They are not even educated to that we should follow them. And can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
It is a gross violation of suspending these people. That's not been called for. And who are these VIPs? VIPs have been made by us, and they should follow the normal rule, common man rules. This is not at all accepted. I will appeal to the government to restore this AirAsia staff immediately. Thank you.
Right, Sunil. Thank you very much for sharing with us your perspective as well. Of course, a lot of our viewers have shared with us what they think about this. But before we wrap up, Mr. BAWA, a quick word on, one of the callers did state what kind of a message is the airline also trying to put out? If you want to share that before we wrap up this very interesting conversation.
The message is very clear. The plight of passengers who missed the flight has been highlighted. And I must appreciate you that in this way, at least, because it is not only the governor who has missed the flight, from 3 to 8% of the people who miss the flight at the airports, and their plights are very different. And at least that point has been flagged. And this suspension is not the punishment. The staff, if he has not done wrong, because the laws are very clear, the clock cannot be changed, and he will come clear out of that. But yes, that's missing the flight is on 80 to 90% on the minds of the people. And my bag has not been boarded. It is on another irritant. These two irritants are the root cause of all the irritants at the airports in the aviation sector. And the staff should not worry. If he is not wrong, nothing can be done to him, because the rules are very clear. The clock cannot tell the lie. And that's what my take on this.
Right, Mr. BAWA. I appreciate you as well as Sarosh for not only drawing things into perspective, but also patiently listening to all our viewers and their perspective as well. But we leave the conversation for now at that, for the moment, of course. But we do understand that more viewers want to share with us what they think over the same. So Chari from Chennai has called us. Good evening. Please go ahead.
Good evening. A similar thing happened almost about 20 years back in Indian Airlines. A senior cabinet member was sort of not picked up, and then the flight took off, right? And at that time also, a show cause notice was given. I do not understand why in this country somebody who does his job properly in time, because the captain is responsible for the other 200 passengers, not just one minister who has the audacity to come late. I think it's very correct. It should not be done at all. And this has to be stopped immediately. This is absolutely ridiculous what is happening in this country. What if he is a governor or a minister? What right does he have to come late? Is there anything called discipline for him? This is my take home. I don't think any punishment should be given to the captain. If the captain has waited for a reasonably good time and then the governor did not come, it is governor's fault. Okay, maybe 5 minutes or so. But I don't think they have any right to come late.
Right, Cherry. Appreciate you as well for joining us and sharing with us your perspective. I do understand Basant Kumar, another viewer of ours, has called. Basant, good evening. Go ahead and share with us your perspective as well.
Ma'am, yeah, good evening. Good evening to all, to the viewers. This is regarding this issue which is going on. I think, yeah, this is a country where the democratic rights is giving equal rights to all citizens of this country. The law is same for all, whether VIP or ordinary people. So why should there should be a separate treatment for VIPs? So they should be on time. They have a lot of facilities. They are clearing the traffic to reach the airport for them specially. It's not like the ordinary people who is traveling in a midst of traffic and reaching airport is a very difficult time. And they have a lot of other commitments also. Other passengers in the airport, in the flight have a lot of other commitments also at the reaching station. So this is to ensure the timely departure and timely reaching of the destination. So this really disgusting to see this type of treatment to the staffs who are doing their job. So I think the court should rule out all this type of atrocities on staffs.
Right, Vasant. I appreciate you as well and all our viewers for calling in and sharing with us your perspective about, the situation that is concerned. But for the moment, we're moving on to other news that we're tracking. But before that, we're slipping in a short break on news at 7. So stay with us. We're going to be right back in a bit.